So yes, today I'm going to talk about the mobile automation. Just if I get some hands up if you have already done some kind of mobile automation in your company. Anyone? Okay, I don't see any hands. Okay, so how do I? Then I'll have to show some slides. Then. Okay. So before I start, I would like to talk about some basics of automated testing. Like most of you would be knowing that it all starts with deciding the scope of test automation and then choosing the right test automation tool within that scope. Then you do planning, designing, and strategy. And then you set up your test environment and do your development and execution, and eventually examine and maintain your test automation suite based on your changes that you're coming across. Now, the demo that I'm going to show you today about is the new organization that I've joined is Cashy Wads, and they have specific requirements. So this is the kind of model that I have created for myself, wherein I've created this framework which can trigger sanity test and regression test, multiple test data that we can pick up, various configurations, and that can be executed on mobile, web, DB, various file manipulation, and API. The test can be triggered through Jenkins. The code will reside in Bitbucket. The reports will be generated in Allure. The whole solution will be Dockerized, and we'll get some kind of Slack notification. And the execution has to happen on multiple browsers and multiple devices. So for which I have used Lambda test. So this is the high-level overview of the solution that I'm currently working on. It's still work in progress. The various execution modes that I'm working on is create a selective execution, like you handpick your test, which ones you want to execute. Batch execution, as in you say, run sanity test, it'll run few tests. Run regression, it'll run few tests. You can run in parallel on multiple browsers, multiple devices. Or you want to run in series, one after another. And then you can have scheduled execution, as in overnight execution. And the pivotal point that I'm currently working on is you should be seamlessly able to switch between different operating systems, devices, browsers, and various versions. And all this supporting multiple environments. So this is the overall ecosystem, how it will look like. There's as to time countless browsers, OS versions on various devices. So just think about the permutation and combination. Okay. Am I audible enough?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So how did I approach this whole problem in the first place? Yes, I had done some mobile automation in the past, but then every 1 or 2 years you miss the train. You have to learn a lot of things. So in which case, the way I start usually is pick a sample application. Like once you have done your feasibility analysis, what tools and technology that you want to use. And then you just play around with the tool. Like I'll just show you what was my play area. You see here, like I did some coding initially to start with. pick up a sample application, use emulator, Android emulator, and then see how it works. And once you start using it, it's working fine. The tool seems stable. The setup seems stable. You extend it to the next level. You do feasibility analysis specific to that particular application. You play around with certain devices that you want to support, various operating systems, platform versions that you want to support. You just go one step at a time, one by one. Like if you know, like you don't want to deep dive into unknown waters, and then try iOS, try Android drivers and things like that. See a simple action being performed on emulator, and then once it is working fine, can I extend it on a device farm like Lambda Test, Browser Stack, or Source Labs? And then if you think, okay, it is kind of working out fine, then you jump into creating a small POC, as in our case, I created a small sign in and sign up mechanism. You can initially to start with, you can just hard code things, see if everything is working fine. Once it is working fine, then you just refine it further. And then if you see here, I eventually had to segregate few things, like for iOS something is different, Android something is different. You have your lessons learned, and then you create methods or functions for them eventually. So I've not removed this commented out code just to share my journey through it. And then eventually we'll have something like this. I'll just show you the code. Okay. So it's you kind of parameterize and make your code look nice. So provide your credentials. Like again, all this can go into a config file, but I've kept it for visibility purpose. So once your application is hosted on, say, Lambda Test, then it returns your URL, which you can use to interact with your application. And just before I deep dive into something more, I'll just show you a small execution. So these things are parameterized, whether I want to run it on Android or iOS. Do I want to run it on local emulator, or do I want to run it on cloud-based Lambda Test? Do I want to run on a real device or emulator? So if I set this to, say, false, then internally the logic that's supporting this is, you want to run it on Android and you don't want to run it on device farm, and you want to run it on an emulator, in which case this is my emulator. So let's see how it goes. So if I just run this, so the idea is to bring up the application, do a sign up, and do a sign in. So sign up and sign in are both two different operations. I don't know what's happening. It should not take this much time. I don't know why always live. Yep. Okay. It started. So this WhatsApp, don't have it on your phone, please get it. doing some company promotion as well. So you get very good deals on this. You click on sign up, then screens come up. It asks your email ID, asks your number. It asks you verification. That's the initial check that we are doing, like whether Appium can interact with the mobile application in a way feasibility analysis. And the next one is it'll try to sign in. Okay. For some reason it's running slower than usual. I don't know what's causing this, but usually it's much faster. Yeah. So basically that's sign-in mechanism. Yeah. So now this is the emulator. Now the reason I'm running this on emulator is sometimes hooking up to cloud can be tricky. So either you need your local devices or your emulator. You can create multiple emulators. I'll just show you. For Android, you need Android Studio, and for iOS, you need Xcode. So I'll just stop this execution. It's waiting for an element which I have not provided yet. So now if you see here, what I'm emulating here is a Pixel mobile device. You can create n number of mobile devices. If you see here, Pixel, XL, Pixel 6 Pro, Pixel 5, 4, 3, 2, all these. You can mimic tablets. If you're using some kind of wearable, then you can simulate them as well. If you have TV, you can emulate them as well. So all these simulator can be popped up like this. Then you hook up your test to that and make it work. Now, it's not as simple as I said. It's not just it hooks up. So there are a lot of things that you have to do. Something like Appium server, which is running back behind the scenes, which is helping me run my tests on the emulator. Now, there's something called device farm, if not many of you have heard of. Like, not everybody can afford to buy every other device, right? So what do? There are services like device farm, which we have.
We think we are familiar with browser stack. We use browser
Right,
stack for our testing.
right. So browser stack is what even I was familiar with, and thanks to my current team members who were using Lambda test. So yeah, it's cool as well, and it is cheaper than browser stack. And what is that?
Did you face any like challenges for using emulators versus running them on browser stack on real devices?
I would say it's seamless, which is good. I mean, but there can be certain limitations, like because based on the availability. I'll just show you. So if I want to run a test on, say, iOS, okay, um, because there's so many devices. If you look at this one, there's so many devices here. Like this is iPad. There is come on. Yeah, there's so many devices. Look at this. There are hundreds of devices with different operating system versions. Look at this. And these are all real devices, by the way. So they have them all of it. So if you mix and match something, say by mistake, instead of platform number 13, if I say end up putting 12 or 15, and then that combination is not there. So it was not giving me a legit error message. So I reached out to Lambda test. I said, why don't you throw a legit message saying that we don't have this combination, which will give a good feedback for us. So they took it and they said, yeah, they'll release it in their next version. So you can pick up any Android device from here. You can pick so many Android and iOS phones and tablets. Look at this. Google, Huawei, LG, Microsoft, Motorola, Samsung. Look at the number of devices. So they have them all. So once you're able to execute locally on your emulator, it's about hooking up your test to Lambda test, browser stack, or Source Labs, and then run them there. So I'll just make a switch here. To Android, I'll say Lambda test true, and real devices true. And now my program logic is so that it'll automatically switch to Lambda test. If I say this thing, it'll know that there's nothing real device on my laptop, so it'll just execute it there. So let us run this and see what happens. So these are few my test executions executed on Galaxy S21 Ultra 5G. Yep. So it prompts to that the execution has started. So now, device availability is not an issue for you. So you can pick up n number of devices and execute your tests on that. So there are various settings that you can have the video being captured of the execution itself. Yep, the same thing is happening. And whatever you saw on the emulator happening, the same thing is happening on this. And this is a real Galaxy S21, like in some different location. So another test has also started, so I'll probably just show you. You can anytime come back and revisit this, and then you can see, what it was trying to do, where it was trying to click, and all these things.
Do you have any performance issues?
See, absolutely yes. I would say yes to that because There's nothing to match your local network or your local system. But then given the trade-offs, like if I have to get all these devices, it's worth it. See, I mean, if you look at the speed, it's comparable. Like it's not as slow. Like even my emulator was behaving the same at the same speed. So it's absolutely okay. So agreeable, I'll say. I would expect it to be much better, but then that's okay. Like not something to crib about a lot. And we have Cherry, who's my teammate, joining in. And only because she's based in Sydney, I'm glad that we could do this online. Cherry, I mean, this was a sudden plan. I'm supposed to go to that location and then give a talk, and then yeah.
Thanks, Vikas, for letting me join. I'm not just sure I'm nowadays other
Okay.
attendees.
Okay. I mean, to let every audience know, I've not even demoed this to my fellow test team members. So you are the first people to have a look at. Okay, and then Cherry happened to join in as well, which is great. Okay, so as I said, you can look back at these videos later on, what happened. You can look at each of the steps here. You can capture screenshots if you need. And if there's a bug, okay, the way it works is, say at this point, you want to raise a bug. Just click that, then mark as a bug, and then you can do other things. And you can hook it up to Jira. So it's a nice ecosystem to play around with. So pretty much the same thing, signing in. See, like it took like close to 30 seconds. So rest of the time waiting for an event which I have not provided yet. And then gives you a lot of statistics internally as well. And if you want to run manual testing, you can do that. You can just say go to app testing. You can upload your mobile app like I have done, and then you say start, and it will start off. So while that is getting uploaded, what I'll show you is if I had to switch to iOS, I don't have any iOS device, so I'm relying on Lambda test for this. So it's still Lambda test true, real device true. And then the details that I've provided here is, see, for iOS, I have to, for Android, you have to provide all these information. For iOS, I've provided iPad. Okay, let's execute this. And this is your device there. So let me go back to the automated side of things. So earlier you saw it was Android device that spun up. And now it's iOS device. So if you see iPad, it has triggered the test on iPad. Now, I could have put all of this in a config file as a JSON and executed the same thing. You can run the tests in parallel. You can run the tests in series, and then you just pass these as parameters. So if you see here, this is iPad. This is for Android Pixel. This is for Galaxy S21. So all you have to do is pass these parameters. You don't need any device. You just give the right URL, application URL. This is for the emulator. And then you can have n number of emulators on your device, simulating different operating system versions, different devices that I showed you, and then just run these tests on that. It's as simple as that. And what else? What else? Yeah, I think that's more or less it. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I know there's, yep.
No, I was asking if you have any questions. I thought it was okay, that's okay.
So this is the execution that was happening on iPad. So exactly the same thing, seamlessly switching between the devices, between operating systems. Yes, there's a lot of that has gone into the coding side of things, but then at least you have that ecosystem that supports you without any devices lying on your desk. Hook up to a cloud-based service and then spin up these tests on any device, any operating system, or any browser for that matter. And this is how, if you want to do some manual testing, this is how it will look like. And then you can just, interact with. This is a real iPad which you can interact with. So whoever has dealt with Browser Stack and Sauce Labs before, they'll find it very easy. Otherwise, yeah, it's a good platform to play around with. Like most of our testers who are doing manual testing, they use this. Yes, it still comes with certain limitations. It is not 100% as good as having a device in your hand, but then you can do like at least 90 to 95% of all your basic testing requirements, testing and test automation. So yeah.
Have you explored hooking this up to CI/CD pipeline as developers work?
Yes, we can do that. Like not in this organization, but in the past when I used Browser Stack, I did hook up all my tests into CI/CD pipeline, and then you can, like, whatever is running currently locally, right? The same thing will be executed on, say, Jenkins, and then it'll still hook up to the same application on Lambda test or Browser Stack, and then you'll still see the same thing. So works beautiful. Any other questions? Yes. Cherry, maybe you can ask me the question as well.
Nothing from my head.
Okay.
This is you use C#, right? So yeah.
Yeah, I'm using C#. Like okay, the question Cherry is asking is very specific to our organization. Initially, the impression that I was given was we had to use C#. I started using C#, but then now most of my team members are JavaScript proficient, so I'll probably switch to JavaScript. It happens seamlessly. Like I'll just show you. Even Lambda test supports like generating these capabilities in C#, Java, JavaScript. If you see here, I can pass the entire set of capabilities like this in Java, and it'll work. So anybody else doing mobile testing within your organization?
We don't do like mobile testing, but we do some amount of device browser testing, mostly on iPads and maybe Chromebooks, Macs and stuff. And we don't have any mobile automation in place. So.
Okay.
Yeah, because our end users are mostly students who set delivery like tests. online tests, so they can't do it from mobile phones,
Hmm.
but they can do it from iPads and other laptops.
Right. 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 I mean, I totally get the point, and most of the people love doing manual testing on devices. But then, if the organization are spending on automated testing, I would say this is the right time, because I remember doing the same mobile testing, cross-browser testing, setting Selenium grid on my network, various nodes, and making it all work was very challenging. I'll not call it nightmarish, very challenging. But then once you get it working, you'll be like you're on top of the world. But now, thanks to these platforms, they have made it so seamless that if I have to do cross-browser testing, I don't even have to set up anything. I just create a hook to Lambda test browser stack or Sauce Labs. It just works. So it's just that we have to we can focus on designing our tests nicely rather than how do we set up the infrastructure.
Yeah. Yeah, we do run some automated cross-browser testing on like before browsers,
Right.
on browsers.
Right.
And Edge.
Right. Okay. Cool.
But we do Chrome and Firefox now.
Okay. Cool. That's nice. So any doubts, any questions? How did this happen? Or
I
Yeah,
think
Cherry.
everyone, yeah, fine, because I don't think anybody has any more questions.
okay, I think Cherry has a question. Yeah, Cherry, please.
Just a quick one. What are the challenges you encountered in automating a mobile app? And normally when using simulator, it's the slowness of the simulator.
Right.
It's being a normal issue.
Yep.
What do you do about it, and how do we avoid it? Or is there anything that we can do about it?
Okay. The slowness of the emulator or the devices, we can start the minimum amount of processes in that. That's the max we can do. But if they're um, responding slowly, then we have to handle it accordingly.
Yeah,
So they can.
the issues
Yes.
that we're mostly getting is the timing out issues.
So we can have some dynamic wait times, not static wait times, but then dynamic wait times, and that's the way to go. Like if there are static waits, which most of the automation testers end up using, they miss the whole point. I'll just show you how I'm using waits. Mm. Okay, so okay, let's look at the commented side of things, and then not this one, because I'll just parameterize this. So I'm using a dynamic wait. I'm saying wait till the element is clickable. So it'll wait till the element is clickable. Yes, I have a max wait time, but then that's reasonable high enough. So this will take care of most of the sync issues. So many times people do, okay, wait X amount and then try to click. And by that time, for whatever reason, the element has not appeared or it is not clickable, it times out. So in this case, it is very dynamic. It will wait till the element is clickable, and then it will click it. So these are a few of the ways we can handle all the sync issues, the element availability issues, and things like that.
Does that affect any speed and power you might have for extraction?
No, this is very dynamic. So it'll, if even though I have given max wait time here, say of 60 seconds or so, it will not wait for 60 seconds. But if the element is available before 60 seconds and it is clickable, it'll do the click. It'll say, okay, I found the element, and then it'll go to the click operation. If it is not found, it will wait till 60 seconds. And then even after that also it does not appear, then it will time out. Now, this is where the tweaking in comes into picture. So we can always tweak the maximum wait time. But it's not the, it is not that it is waiting for the maximum wait time. So it is at a very regular intervals, it is checking, is it clickable, 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 clickable. If it is clickable, yes, then go to the next line. Element found, go to the next line, click it. So some people, say element present. If you say element present, yes, maybe element is present, but it is not clickable. It is a different condition. In which case, this may again fail. So there are a few minute nitty-gritties here then, which we have to take into consideration. So this is a dynamic wait. It's not a static wait. This is not thread.sleep, wherein it will wait for the maximum wait time. It is the moment the element is interactable, it will go and interact. So yeah, it will save some time and remove the timeout issues. Yep. Any other questions, guys? No. Okay. If not, then all good. I'll probably share something. Okay. Okay. So this is some self-promotion, guys. If you're not part of this group, please feel free to join. It's called Software Test Automation Group, STAG. So we have every month meetups. So we had one last December about Google, how we can use Google Chrome as a testing tool. So this is a meetup page. If you're in Melbourne, you can we're planning to have an in-person meetup in coming days. We're doing online post-lockdown. So very active group. Feel free to join in, and then we'll see more interesting talks coming in. And lastly, thank you. And sorry, I wanted to join in person, but then due to my plane getting cancelled, I had to do it online. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. So I'll just end the session. This was our last talk for the day. Thank you for taking the time online with us.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you all for joining in. Cheers. Thank you. Thanks, Cherry. Bye. Thanks, Archana. Bye.
Bye.